Yes, it will, categorically, but we are looking at how to improve and extend both the packed bed dryer to become more efficient, as well as the whole drying loop of the patented component of the technology. I think the Bacchus Marsh, well, firstly, we are very careful about how we're spending capital at the moment, and we'll continue to be very careful on that. Secondly, is that the Bacchus Marsh opportunity is limited by the amount of coal that's available. Thirdly, is that the Bacchus Marsh Mattingly coal supply is high in sulphur, and so we've had to do a considerable amount of work to look at how to reduce the sulphur content as well as the ash content. Comparatively, the Latrobe Valley, where we have an existing footprint, represents a better coal seam that is lower in ash and has less impact in terms of sulphur. So as part of a longer term expansion program, the valley represents a more significant opportunity than the Mattingly coal supply does right now. Finally, if we were to look at buying it, and this really relates to any coal site, which we will do later on, we will have to be comfortable that either we've got an operator who can provide us at the right commercial rates the coal to feed the plant that we need, and secondly, that we have the capital to be able to pay for that, as well as to be able to pay for the coal acquisition. But they're very good, very good. It's a very good question, and it hasn't been dismissed altogether. In the immediate future, in the immediate now, it's something that we can't afford and that we will consider further down the track.
I've got one live question here too, Sam, from shareholder Helen. Helen, would you like to just come a little bit closer and ask your question?
Yes. Hi, Sam. I'm Helen.
Hi.
I'm wondering if you see any challenges in relation to the public and political perception of mining, closing mines, and then the provision of lignite. Could there be some backlash or some difficulties?
That's a very good question, Helen. Let me answer it based on two things. One is the experience that I've gained recently over the last 4 years, and then secondly, more about some of the work that we're doing towards that. Firstly, there is a significant move towards looking back at coal as well as carbon-rich minerals to be able to help the decarbonisation process in Australia and globally. Simply put, because the decarbonisation needs are not able to be met due to the restrictions associated with the intermittency of renewable energy. Secondly, the resources, the elements that are required, the rare minerals that are required to be able to decarbonise and provide decarbonised products. Thirdly, is also the cost and the willingness to pay for those products. So when you consider all of that and the time schedule associated with green renewable energy solutions, significant markets, including places like Germany, are moving back to look at coal as the building block through the right through the right engineering process to be able to provide net zero solutions and alternatives. The second part is the question of using fossil fuels, and in particular lignite, is one that has attracted a lot of attention in the past. But the reality is that there is little opportunity available, not only to Australia, but also globally, to be able to immediately cut the dependency in terms of utilising those fuels. What ECT has is a patented technology that then, through a closed-loop process, provides a net zero product, which is of value to the market today, so that it can continue to help the decarbonisation pathway. We've addressed the question ourselves, and we are working with government, and there's no way that I can say to you categorically we're going to be able to address everyone's concerns, but through the funding and support that we've received from the Victorian government, and we're about to go into a new process of meeting with the new ministers and cabinet that have been elected more recently in terms of the change, we'll continue to educate them on the process. And ultimately, the facts will speak for themselves, and the facts will be validated through the audit that's being undertaken on the carbon credit and net zero statements by independents. Helen, I hope that's answered your question in a very long way. Moving on to another question. Energy. There are additional licenses that are required, and that process will be something that we've already started to consider, and is something that we will work through. Nick, the most important component of that relates to emissions. And in our process, we're looking to capture our emissions and utilise them. And obviously what we're going to be doing is working with the regulatory authorities to be able to understand. And for them, for a lot of them, this is new as well. And it's part of a process that they have to go through. So the race to revenue model of focusing on coal dry was ensuring that we could get to revenue without being held up on approvals. The opportunities for the other downstream products and the other suite of technologies that we have will mature as we are mature, but will be brought online, recognising that the approval process is slightly longer. But I'm confident we'll be able to get there as well. Hopefully, Nick, that's answered your question on that. And then to Peter, one of the major shareholders. I can't read all of that.
I might just briefly address some of that. So, Peter, we can't obviously comment on what's happened over the last 15 years, having not been involved, other to say that, look, I think, personal opinion, I believe the company was probably a little bit ahead of its time with the thematics and what was going on in the world at the time. I think what we've seen, even in the last 12 to 18 months, is that the need for a net zero solution for companies and governments to reach the internal targets they've set themselves, and with the purely the green path is just not viable from a technology, from a scale or from a cost point of view today as we stand. Hence, there's greater appreciation and attention on how we can help companies solve their problems, and hence we've had a lot more inbound inquiries. So I think the situation has changed quite a lot. You can see attracting someone of the calibre of Sam, he believes and identifies the opportunity ahead of us, and has had some really interesting discussions to date. Where you say the presentation states that the estimates presented may not be realised, that's because they're internal estimates at the moment. Until we have signed off takes, we can't hand on our heart say what they will be, but that's where our current belief is, with further analysis to go. So I think the position and the opportunity for ECT's very patient shareholder base is significantly more exciting at the moment than it has been in the past.
Thank you, Jason.
Are there any other questions?
No further questions this end, Jason.
Okay, well, if there's no further questions, I'd like to thank everybody for their attendance today. Thank everyone for their support. Look, it has been a long journey, but I think we're on the cusp of some really exciting things. I think we've got a lot of things working in our favour, some thematics in the industry. The pressing timelines companies and governments have put on themselves and their need for immediate solutions, which we think we will provide. We're very focused now. We've got the message loud and clear from our shareholders. We're very focused commercially. We're very focused on delivery. But as we progress those, the opportunities will increase to engage with larger groups as well. And we're looking for how we can partner with those groups and do that on the most commercial basis where we're not continually having to go to shareholders. But as I said, thank you everyone for their attendance today. And lastly, wishing you and your families a happy and safe Christmas. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.